The guy goes, empty your pockets. Anyway, so I went to take the phone out, and then all of a sudden he pulled out his extendable baton. He pressed the button.
Been a long time without you. Been a long time without love. Everything reminds me of you, but everything is not.
Hey, Goshka, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm not too bad. What do you want me to talk about today?
You can maybe talk about your growing up in Chiswick.
My growing up in Chiswick?
Yeah, find some few extra good stories. Enjoy.
I got lots of stories. Thanks, darling. Love you. Excellent. Thank you, Gosha. So, yeah, I'll talk about my growing up in Chiswick. So, I grew up in the 80s in Chiswick in West London, a very affluent, white, middle-class area. My parents are Persian immigrants. They came to England in the 1960s. Mixed religion as well, which was quite interesting. So my father is of the Jewish faith, and my mother is originally of the Muslim faith. Neither of which are religious or practicing. So I was kind of brought up myself personally as agnostic, but I've always been interested in religion. So that's something I'll be talking about in another video. But yeah, interesting stories. So to cut it short, growing up in Chiswick as the only brown face was by far from easy. So it was very much as though you're an outsider. So in primary school there, it was very much that you would kind of be, in a way, not all of the teachers or all of the kids, but it was kind of, you had that stigma where kids would not very much want to kind of play with you, or you get the odd kids would say, oh, my parents don't want me to play with you, or my parents have told me I can't be your friend, to some of the kids being sort of very overtly racist and things like that. I mean, but, you know, I don't resent or blame anybody, because it's kind of the way kids are and the way people are. But I was always very good at sports, and I always loved sports. So I went kind of through primary school. Yeah, there was kind of lots of issues with bullying and lots of issues around kind of the feeling that you're sort of like a second-class citizen, where you're not really given the same kind of level playing field as kind of everybody else. But again, you know, these kind of things make you stronger. And yeah, I mean, times were pretty tough there, to be honest. And my theory with that is, when you go through tough times when you're growing up, it's kind of like vaccines, and these kind of things vaccinate you for difficult times that you're going to face later on in life. And then when actually something really bad does happen, you've got kind of the vaccines from your childhood that you can go through. Latterly, not really related to Chiswick stories, but related to kind of growing up in that environment. And when you are faced with unfairness and adversity, kind of makes it difficult for you to deal with unfairness and adversity more effectively as you get older. And I mean, I've known people who have lived the idyllic lifestyle. I mean, they grew up in Chiswick. Parents were professionals, owners of law firms, MPs. Grandparents or relatives have been hereditary lords. So you're talking about very high level people, went to the top private schools, got the top first class university educations. But what I've tended to find with people like that is that when they face adversity, they absolutely crumble, because they've got no resilience to it. And I think that for me now, I'm relatively unfazed because of the difficult times that I've faced. And going on to kind of specifics around racism, and it's kind of one of the things that happens all the time, is that, let's take, for example, a rule that everybody has to follow that is kind of universal. So at the time, one thing comes to mind: no running in the corridors in school. Okay? And you've got a group of boys who have been cooped up in class for hours, and they all literally just want to burn off that energy, and there'll be a group of 7 or 8 boys all running through the corridor. So I would be part of that 7 or 8 boys, and instead of everybody else getting told off, I would be the one that was pulled off and told off. Everybody else would be let off. Now, you could say, well, Parham, that's your fault for running in the corridors. But then everybody else is running in the corridors, but they get let off. So that's the kind of thing, what I mean by the kind of unfairness that you will face in that environment. On the plus side, it was a pleasant environment. The streets were clean. It was relatively crime-free there. Everybody was kind of well-spoken, professional, carried themselves in the correct kind of way. So it kind of set me up for the professional life. People comment on my accent and they say that my accent doesn't match my look and my face. And my accent is from where I grew up in Chiswick, which doesn't stereotypically match somebody of my appearance. But that makes me kind of cool and kind of quirky, and something that's quite interesting. So when they see somebody who looks like me, who speaks with a very clipped Chiswick accent. So that was my stories from Chiswick. Yeah, very difficult growing up. Kind of similar to everybody else that's got similar stories from growing up outside of your ethnic group. Kind of got more complicated growing up and going through the kind of dating environment of dating as a brown ethnic minority guy in an environment like that, and how difficult that is. That'd be a story for another day, because I think I could coach anybody who's interested in that of how to circumnavigate that very, very, very difficult kind of profile of doing that. Other things that were not so good. One of the reasons why I actually ended up leaving Chiswick was because of at the time, the Metropolitan Police's policy of, I think it was unofficially or officially called selective accosting. And what that would involve, the police would go and accost, which would basically mean pull over and shake down anybody who they didn't deem was from that area. So that was something that I faced regularly. 24/7, walking on my own road. As soon as I would see a police car, they'd pull over. What are you doing? Where are you from? What are you doing here? What business are you doing here? Where have you been? What have you got in your pockets? Search, stop. And what was strange was it would even actually be the same policeman. I think there was one I made actually an official complaint. I think his name was David Lewis from Chiswick Police. This is going, God, back many, many years. I actually made an official complaint to David Lewis's super, because 24/7 when this guy would see me, he would literally run me over and shake me down. Must have been a bit sad for him, really, because he never found anything, because I was a good boy, see. Never did anything. But yeah, selective accosting was terrible. And one particular story came to mind. I was due to be filling in for a friend's football team who was short of a player on a Saturday morning, and they needed someone to jump in. So I said, I'll jump in. And I was driving, I had a car at the time, I was 17 or 18. I had a Volkswagen Polo, which was registered under my mum's name, which kind of everybody did, because the insurance for young guys is absolutely extortionate when you're at that age. And I remember I kind of crossed the road to get into the car, running late. And my friend was really, really particular about people being on time, so I didn't want to let him down and be late for his team. And I hadn't played for the team before. I'd practiced with him a couple of times, so obviously I didn't want to turn up late being the new guy as well for the team. So I was in a bit of a rush getting ready and getting all my kit together. So I was running across the road, and this police car saw me, turned off and followed me to the car. So I jumped in the car and they kind of pulled up next to me. What are you doing? There's lots of burglaries and car thefts, the usual kind of bullshit gambit. There's lots of burglaries in the area, or I can smell cannabis, or there's lots of car thefts in the areas. It was one of those kind of bullshit stories. And it was interesting. It was a police lady, and it was a Jamaican policeman with a thick Jamaican accent, big black guy. And I was kind of surprised, because I thought that he would be more liberal. So the guy kind of pulls me over and he kind of says, what are you doing? And gives me the usual bullshit. And I was obviously not in a good mood anyway. And it was just literally, I would say, in all honesty, probably 2 to 3 times a week, I was getting stopped within 100 meters of my own house. A guy stopped me and was, the usual kind of bullshit. Whose car is it? Whatever. And have you got a license? And all this kind of bullshit. Where are you going? And I kind of very politely explained to him, look, I'm late. I need to go. And then he was like, why are you giving me attitude? And I said, look, I get pulled over all the time in this country. And he turned around to me and he said, he kind of was a bit empathetic, and he kind of said to me, listen, son, I'll tell you something. I'm Jamaican. And he had a Jamaican accent. I'm Jamaican. And he said to me, is this your car? I said, yeah. And he said to me, do you know what car I've got? I said, no. And I couldn't really give a fuck either, but whatever. So he said to me, I've got a BMW. And I thought, okay, yeah, cool. And he said to me, and do you know how many times I get stopped? And I said to him, whatever. He said, every day I'm driving my BMW and I'm getting stopped. And he said, and you know what? I'm going to tell you something. And he put his hand on my shoulder, and I think he was doing it to be nice, but it just kind of wound me up even more. And he said to me, every time they see me and they don't know I'm police, they stop me. And he said, listen, son, if you're living in this country, this is what you have to deal with, and you have to get used to it, and you have to deal with it. And at the time, I thought, what a fucking butt kiss. I thought, you're a policeman and you're kind of condoning that butt kissing attitude, and it's people like that. That was the only copper I actually thought I would love to give this guy a slap, right? And anyway, so he kind of said, I can impound your car. I said, no, you can't impound the car. There's nothing wrong with the car. It's licensed, it's insured, it's taxed, it's MOT. Fuck off. But anyway, yeah, so that was another Chiswick story. Another funny one about the police, actually, which was quite a bit, nearly got quite dodgy. So I had a friend whose dad, they were quite wealthy, and they had a really massive house on Sutton Court Road in Chiswick. He worked at something in the film industry. He was an agent or something. I can't remember exactly what he did. And a few of us had gone to his house. His parents had gone away. Again, we were like 17, 18 years old. I think his parents had gone away, so he had a free house. So we'd kind of gone to the house to chill out, as sort of teenagers do. And we were coming out of the house at, again, it must have been like early hours of the morning. And the car was parked around the corner. So me and another friend, I was going to drop him home and head off. So we were walking around, and then all of a sudden, I don't know if they were hiding, the two coppers jumped out on us. They were like, stop. We were like, yeah, what? And they said, right, what are you doing? And burglaries and everything like that. And the usual kind of things. What's in your pockets? Yeah, I hope there's nothing sharp in there, because I'm going to be really pissed off if I cut myself. I was like, no, there's nothing. So anyway, what the guy did was the guy said, empty out your pockets. And I had a jacket. And I don't know if you remember, anyone that's old enough, the first mobile phones, they were like a brick. So I had one of those bricks in my jacket pocket. Like, I think it was a Motorola Flare or something like that. The guy's empty your pockets. Anyway, so I went to take the phone out, and then all of a sudden he pulled out his extendable baton. He pressed the button, and he wanted to use it as an excuse to go for me. But I managed to chill the copper out. I was like, chill, you told me to empty my empty my pockets out. But yeah, pretty rough. But again, look at these things, guys, as vaccines, because then you will learn to be able to keep your cool in adverse situations. And this is a lesson for when people want to try and push your buttons to get a reaction from you. If they do that, you've got to maintain completely stoic. Because if you've got a copper or a couple of coppers who, I'm not going to say who for whatever reason, I'm not going to say why, but I think we all know without me saying it, want to go for you, they will provoke you into making something that will give them the opportunity to lay into you. So don't give them that, okay? And it just pisses them off more. If they try and wind you up and provoke you, and you just play completely calm, and you're cooperative and calm, then they will get so pissed off. Because if they want to have a rumble, or they want to have an excuse to get on you, and they want to have an excuse to piss you off or do something to you, if you're completely calm and completely stoic and completely in control, that will wind them up a million times more. Trust me. Oh, and another thing, if any of you guys are actually criminals, then good. I hope you get caught, and I hope the coppers put you in the back of the van and give you a shoe in. There you go. More Chiswick stories coming. Got some funny Chiswick party stories, and yeah, again, load of characters that I met. But gosh, I hope you enjoyed my Chiswick stories. Thanks a lot for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Stay tuned for the next one. I've got some nice juicy ones for you coming forwards.